Hey guys, welcome back.
Hey y'all.
On our channel today, we're going to be making a moist red velvet cake that we've decorated beautifully with a homemade cream cheese frosting. This was our first time making a red velvet cake from scratch, so we were pretty excited.
Yes.
Alright, let's check out the video. Okay, so let's start by going over our ingredients for our cake. We have some cake flour, some granulated sugar. We are going to be using some buttermilk, pure vanilla extract. We have 4 eggs that we've separated. These are our yolks and our whites. We have some canola oil, some baking soda. We have some salt, unsweetened cocoa powder. This is some white distilled vinegar, 1 stick of unsalted butter, and we're going to be using some gel food coloring to be coloring our cake. You want to make sure you use either a really good liquid food coloring or a gel food coloring. If you use one that's not too good, your cake batter might be kind of thin, or the coloring might throw off the flavor. So we're using Betty Crocker, just in case anybody wanted to know. And for our frosting, we're going to be doubling this recipe. So if you don't want to decorate your cake, which we're going to do, you can half what we have here and just ice your cake like normal. So we're going to be using some powdered sugar, 2 8-ounce blocks of Philadelphia cream cheese, some whole milk, and 2 sticks of unsalted butter. And we're also going to be using some of this pure vanilla extract in our frosting as well. And as always, all of the ingredients and their exact measurements will be down in the description box below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and let's get started with the video.
Okay, so we're going to incorporate our dry ingredients first. So we have our flour going in, baking soda, salt, and our cocoa powder. Now it's really important when you're baking to make sure dry ingredients separate and then your wet ingredients, and then combine them together. This helps, to prevent over mixing in your recipe. And you just want to whisk this together for a few seconds. It doesn't take very long. Just see, as you can see, the color slightly changing. All right, and so then we're going to set this aside and get started on our wet ingredients.
Yes, so our butter is room temperature. By the way, you want to make sure that your butter is room temperature. So we're using some granulated sugar and butter, and we're going to cream those together for about 2 minutes on a medium-high speed on our pan mixer. And the texture will be kind of sandy, kind of like kinetic sand. It'll kind of stick together, but it'll look like sand once you're finished.
Yeah, if you have a stem mixer, you can use that as well for this process.
Yeah, so another thing you can do to prevent over mixing is use your food coloring now, so you won't over mix your batter, and later once you're trying to get that right color. Get your color now before you put in your dry ingredients. That way, it won't be over mixed, and you can adjust the color if you need to once you put in the flour and stuff later. But
yeah,
so we're scraping down the bowl, and we're going to be putting in our canola oil, our egg yolks, some pure vanilla extract, and our vinegar. So instead of using baking powder in this recipe, we use baking soda and vinegar, which once you combine your wet and dry together, those two will react, the vinegar and the baking soda. They'll react and act as a leavening agent. So you know how when you were a kid and you did your science projects, you did the fake volcano and you did some baking soda and vinegar.
Fun.
Right, so that's happening, but on a very small scale.
Right.
So that's the vinegar that's going in. That's going to help with leavening our cake to make it really fluffy and airy and nice.
And then this is also a good point, like she was saying, you can add your food color. You can actually add it at this point too if you feel better about waiting until it's more of a liquid. To add your food coloring, you can do it at this point right here if you like. So.
And gel is, I feel like gel is better than liquid, but I feel like in this recipe, it also doesn't matter which one you use because you're going to use quite a bit of whatever you do choose to use. Typically, gel, you get your color faster if you use gel versus liquid when you're making, you know, I don't know what, cookie cakes, anything you want to color. But because it's red velvet cake, it can be kind of hard to get that red color just by adding, you know, just a few drops of red.
Right, which we discovered, which is great. I love the process that we went through to get the red color we were looking for.
Right.
So, and I can see how it could be difficult to try and mix it. You hear about red velvet recipes and how hard it is to get the color, and so yeah, we can see that.
Because if you notice, our batter is slightly like a light brown. It looks like melted chocolate ice cream or a Frosty from Wendy's.
Right.
That's what we were saying while we were mixing it. So it's kind of a tricky color to get, you know, to start. Instead of, you're not starting from just pure white batter.
Right. Or yellow like cake mix or something.
Exactly. So we're mixing in our dry ingredients into our wet, and we're adding in our buttermilk as well. We're just alternating between the dry and the buttermilk, and I feel like that it incorporates better than just dumping everything in together.
Right, that's important. You don't want any dry spots in your batter, and you want to make sure you get to the bottom of the bowl, scrape down the sides, and everything will get well incorporated.
Yes, just be careful not to overmix your batter. Just mix it just until it's combined, because you don't want a tough cake.
Right. Thankfully, our cake was very moist. We ended up adding our color later. As you can see, we did not add it when we, just separately with the wet ingredients. So it still turned out great.
Yeah, so we're using the Betty Crocker food coloring I was mentioning. And we ended up using some more food coloring, and we got Wilton.
Yeah, we had to make a quick run.
Yeah, we ran to the store.
We're like, no, we don't have enough.
So
yeah,
if you do use more, make sure, like I said, it's a good brand, and I think those two are pretty decent brands.
Yeah,
you can get some professional stuff too, and only use a few drips. I don't know what they be using.
Okay, but we will find out.
Right.
Yeah, and that was like really quick when she added that.
So another another cool tip, I guess, that we learned from using this recipe, because this is our first time making red velvet cake, so this isn't our recipe. So we were folding in some egg whites, so we're gonna get the stiff peaks on the egg whites. So we leave these on high for I think 3 to 4 minutes until you see those stiff peaks.
Yeah, that came out great.
Yes. So this is the color red that we ended up with.
It looks like red paint, y'all.
It does.
We're gonna paint the wall. Yes, it was perfect. We were so happy with the color. It's like, this is our first time and we got the color right. Yay!
Yeah. So
yeah, I'm so happy about that.
So once you get your color right, you can start to fold in your egg whites. You can just dump the whole bowl in. You don't have to, put it in a little bit at a time like we did the flour. But make sure you fold and you don't stir.
Right.
We've done egg whites a couple times on our channel. And every time we've done it, it's a fold, not a stir, because you're just gonna, erase all the work you just did if you just stir it.
Right. Yeah, this is really good.
They'll just fall, So make sure you mix it until it comes together and it looks just like the batter before. It'll look, it'll get bigger in size a little bit because you just folded some air into it. But
yeah, this is a great step, I think, to add moisture and air, more air to your
great
batter.
Texture for your cake. So we're going to use 2 9-inch cake pans that we are going to be greasing just with a little bit of oil. You can use oil and parchment paper, or you can use oil and flour. You can use shortening, whatever you want to use to grease your pans. I would suggest non-stick pans though, definitely.
Yeah, we didn't have any trouble with sticking with these pans at all.
Yeah, we can link these pans in our description, and the recipe will be linked in the description as well. So you want to evenly divide your batter between the pans. because you don't want one cake to be huge and the other one to be kind of small.
Right. Yeah, you can eyeball it. It's real easy.
Just try to get it, at the same level so they'll cook at the same pace. But I just tap the pans on the counter to get any air bubbles out. Shake it a little bit. And our oven is preheated to 350 right now. So we have those going in the oven, and these cooked for about 30 to 35 minutes. You can just check it by, putting the toothpick in the middle. If it comes out dry, then your cake is done.
And that really works. When I was a kid, younger, cooking, I used to say, that's not going to work. How can you tell if it's done by putting a toothpick in it? But man, that really works.
Yes. Try putting a toothpick in it when it's not done, and you'll see.
You'll see, right.
So I'm getting started on the cream cheese frosting. So our cream cheese is, I wouldn't say room temperature, but it's really soft.
Extremely soft.
Yes. If you want a stiffer frosting, I would just leave it out for maybe 10-15 minutes. But we left yours out a couple hours, so it was still, cold to the touch, but it was still really soft. And same with our butter. The butter wasn't, room temperature. It was still kind of cool, but you do want both of them to be soft so you can, get a pipeable frosting if you plan on decorating your cake.
Right. And you don't want to have arm day, as Ricki calls it, when it's hard to make something.
And like we said, we're going to be decorating our cake, so we doubled the amount that we're going to use. So if you don't want that much icing, just use 1 block of cream cheese and 1 stick of butter, and so on and so forth.
Essentially, half of everything.
So I'm just creaming the butter and the cream cheese together. That's another thing, you want to make sure you just do it just until they're combined. You don't want to overmix this either, because that's going to make your frosting even runnier. So that's another thing to keep in mind while you're doing this. So once I do that, I'm going to do my powdered sugar. And I would suggest sifting this. It didn't give me a problem, but I did notice some clumps in there while I was making the frosting. So you really don't have to do it, but I wish I would have sifted the powdered sugar. But it was completely smooth in the end. There was no problems, just a preference. So I'm just pouring that in little by little and, mixing it together. And I'm also going to use some pure vanilla extract, which I think is a very important step.
The good stuff.
Right.
Love vanilla extract.
I never, ever measure vanilla extract.
What's the point?
Right. If I put
just get you some in there.
Right. If I put too much, oops.
Right.
Right. So I'm putting in more powdered sugar, as you can see. So I just did that until it was done and I got the consistency I want. And the milk, I only used maybe a teaspoon of milk. I didn't use a whole lot.
The recommended amount.
Right.
Yeah. So if we make this again, of course, cupcakes or something later, we definitely will tweak it. We tweaked it a little bit too, but that's the good thing about doing recipes. You can kind of tweak it to make it exactly how you want it. So
yeah.
So we'll definitely be doing that again in the future. So
yeah, if you want yours to be thin, then I would definitely either leave your cream cheese out, make it room temperature, or put more milk in it. That's probably the easiest thing to do. But personally, I wish this was thicker.
Right, and see, we can correct that, the next time we make it. Yeah, so
it was delicious regardless, but like I said,
yeah, because as we started to decorate it, you were saying that, I wish that's been a little bit thicker. It was still great though, but yeah, I get it. A little bit more stiff would have been nice. So
yeah, and another thing the milk does, it helps like smooth out the icing, because you'll see as I finish mixing together the icing, it was like semi-smooth, but once I put the milk in there, it was like
Silk Sonic. I mean,
oh my goodness,
more silk. I'm sorry.
Right. So I'm just scraping down the bowl, and I'm gonna add in my milk in a little bit, and you'll see what I mean. So just pay attention to how the texture changes of the frosting. There goes my mom trying to get me to add more milk.
Yeah, no, I'm always acting silly. I was playing with her, acting as if I was going to just dump it all in there, but because I knew she just wanted to add a little bit.
Right.
So, oh, look how creamy that is.
Yes, it's like magic.
That's like vanilla ice cream, melted.
Right. We got vanilla and chocolate ice cream.
It's so pretty. Oh, look at that. That's cool.
Yeah, so our cakes are done now. They cooked for about 35 minutes. And I'm just trimming them. I trimmed both cakes. And they've cooled for a little bit. But once you take the top off, you'll see that they're still kind of hot on the inside. But it cools even faster with the top off of it.
So pretty.
Yes. So now we're going to start assembling the cake. So we got our cake turntable thing. And we got the little cake boards. Just for pretty decoration. And when you put that icing on that cake board, it kind of acts like glue for your cake, so it won't move around while you're icing. And I also suggest getting like a non-slip like shelf liner if you're going to use a cake turntable, because you need to put that under your cake board so that won't be sliding around either.
Right. But it worked out well.
Right. So I'm doing the middle layer right now. I have my first cake on the board. I don't know what happened to the footage of the second cake going on there, so it's gonna cut and it'll be up there, and we'll just be putting icing on top of the cake.
Technical difficulty.
Right. So I have my second cake on there now, and I'm just doing a crumb coat, as they call it. This just traps all of the crumbs on the cake, so that when you put your final layer of icing on there, you won't get icing all in your final layer. So once you put that on there, then you could put it in the freezer or the refrigerator for 5-10 minutes, just to make the icing stiff. So I'm using an offset spatula, and I'm using like a bench scraper, so to speak, to get the smoothness. So this is my second layer. I put it in the freezer already. And obviously we're not professionals, so it's not going to be completely, baby skin smooth.
Y'all know we're working this out.
Right. It's still going to look really pretty in the end, so that's all I cared about.
Yeah, I have a different technique for icing cakes that I've been doing for years, but I was interested to see how she's going to do it, and I love it. I love the idea, of doing it a different way. So
yeah, it was still a lot of fun to do it. So we're just using a piping bag and a piping tip, and you can play around and test out the different tips to see what kind of design you want and how you're going to design your cake. That's the fun part of baking.
Yeah, look at my baby doing her thing. Oh, get it, Ricki. She did such a great job decorating this cake.
Thanks.
I'm so proud of my baby. I said, okay, Ricki. It's so pretty. Look at that.
Yeah, so once you're happy with that part, this is just like I said, how we designed our cake. You don't have to do this. And we got these crumbs from those tops that we got off the top of our cake. We saved those. And we actually had some crumbs left over that you can make some cake pop with, because we had cake crumbs left over and some of that frosting left. So you could just put some icing in there, make them into a little ball and dip them in some melted chocolate. Delicious.
Great idea.
So now I'm putting some crumbs at the bottom of the cake.
Carefully.
Yes, very carefully.
Yeah, you did a great job with this.
Thanks.
She's so patient.
Yes.
I would have been like, okay, let's get this on.
Yeah, this took me like 40-45 minutes to an hour to do. So, but it was worth it, because it turned out really, really pretty.
Yeah, she took her time, and that's good. We always say that. Take your time and, do the process correctly. You don't want to rush it and mess it up and be impatient. Take your time in the kitchen when you're cooking.
Right. So that's the end of the recipe. That's all there is to it.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yes, this was very moist.
So much fun to make, too.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and click on the notification bell if you enjoyed the video. We love you guys. See you later.